This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Haba. We're continuing in Mishna Berura Daf HaShavua. We're learning Siman Mem Zayin, Sif Yud Gimel. Siman Mem Zayin, Sif Yud Gimel. Hamashkim Koidim Or Hayom. Somebody who gets up before daybreak. Lomoid. Mevarch Birchas Hatorah. He makes Birchas Hatorah. Ve'eino yitzarech lachzar ulevarach k'sheyelcha beis haknesses. He doesn't have to make another Birchas Hatorah. Even though we learned that if somebody's up all night, then there's a suffix, maybe you have to make another Birchas Hatorah, because every day requires another Birchas Hatorah. But when you get up in the morning, that's when the new day starts, basically. Hamashkim koidim or hayom. Somebody who gets up before daybreak. This was the shaila we were discussing yesterday after the Shiur. The question was, are you allowed to make Birchas Hashachar before Alois Hashachar? We know you're not allowed to do mitzvahs hayom before Alois Hashachar. You can't take a lulav and esrog, you can't blow shofar, you can't do milah. Are you allowed to say Birchas Hashachar? You can't daven shachris. Birchas Hashachar, you're allowed. So we said, where is this halacha? So it's tomorrow's. We're doing it now. Hamashkim koidim or hayom. Mevarech kol seder habrachos. If you get up before daybreak, you could make the whole arrangement of brachos, chutz mi birchas hanoisen lasach vivina, except for Hashem gives the intellect understanding, because it's not yet the time to differentiate between night and day, because it's still the night. Also, Parshas hatamid, also the Parsha of the Tamid. See, I wasn't expecting that, because he says you can make all the brachos, except for hanoisen lasach vivina, but Parsha Tamid is not a bracha. But I guess it's part of the Seder of Tfilas Haboiker before Psukei de Zimra. So the Mechaber says, you don't say Parshat Tamid. Why? Sheyamtin mil amra ad sheyar yam. Wait until the day. Which is very reasonable, because the saying of the Karmanat Tamid is in lieu of bringing it. So you're not going to say it until you actually bring it. You're not going to say it until it's the appropriate time to bring it. Says the Rama, you should wash your hands before you learn, before you make a bracha to learn. Meaning, even though you're not washing the Netilas Yadayim yet, because you're going to wait for that until, in other words, you're not going to make the bracha of Netilas Yadayim yet, because you've got a ways to go before you're washing for Tefillah, because it's Koidem Sheyar Hayom. But nevertheless, you should wash your hands. If you don't have water, you can learn, you can make a bracha without washing. Like any other bracha, that there's no din that stam yodayim are kosher for brachas. Says the Mishna Berura of Katan Chavtes, Mevarich Birchas Hatorah. You make Birchas Hatorah if you wake up before dawn. V'yafim chazar v'yashin acher kach shenas keva koidem or hayom oy bayom ein tzarich lachzor levarich. Wow. Let's say you get up 2 a.m. You have a 2-hour seder until 4 a.m., like most people, and then you go back to sleep for an hour. Do you have to make another Birchas Hatorah when you get up in the morning? So I would have said, what do you mean? Even if you nap during the day, many Achronim say, and the Shulchan Aruch says that it's a hefsek. The Shulchan Aruch brings a day it's a hefsek, and the Gra and the Chai Adam say it's a hefsek. Here it's not a hefsek. I guess it's going lefi the minhag that sleeping during the day is not a hefsek. Even sleeping before dawn, you don't have to make another bracha. Ki mistama daiter sh'adam liftar bebracha zu ad shnas halayla sha'achrav. The Mishna Berura says, this is all according to the Shita and Sif Yud Aleph, that sleep is not a bracha. Wow. So listen to this. If somebody wakes up 2 a.m., they learn for 2 hours. And they go back to sleep, you've got a good case you should make Birchas Hatorah. You hear this? You get up at 2 a.m. You learn for an hour. You can't learn without Birchas Hatorah. You slept that night. You make Birchas Hatorah. Now you're going back to sleep before Shachas. You're dead tired. You get up in the morning. I don't see how you could get out of Birchas Torah out of this one. Because even if you take a nap during the day, it's really not pashut. The Chai Adam says you got to make a bracha. The Gra says you got to make a bracha. Okay, we're soimech on the minhag ha'olam. But now you said the first Birchas HaTorah before dawn. And now it's a new day. And you slept. Hamavarich lo hifsid. Hamavarich lo hifsid. That's a good one. That is a good one. Okay, Sivkat and Lamed.
Does it also mean on Leil Shavuos then?
Leil Shavuos, where you were up all night or not up all night?
No, you took a nap. After the meal, after the Yom Tov meal, you took a nap.
Sheinas Keva?
Yeah.
30-minute nap. So we discussed that, right? And we mentioned if somebody's going to go to sleep, then when the morning when you get up, you take a nap. You want to know, do you make Birchas Hatorah in the morning? Avada, you make Birchas Hatorah in the morning. That's Rabbi Kiva Eger.
No, then, at midnight.
No.
No, because you haven't got dawn yet.
No, you don't have the new day. Yes.
Right. Why is that different than any Shinas Keva that Amvarach Lehifsid, we said? Any nap during the day, before you would say.
This is a kol shekain. What's the kol shekain? The kol shekain is there's a new day here. The new day came. You never made a Birchas Hatorah in this new day. Your Birchas Hatorah was made Kodim Shiur Hayom. So therefore, there are two reasons why you should make Birchas Hatorah. Number one, you slept a Sheinas Kava, and number two, there's a new dawn, and you haven't gotten a Birchas Hatorah yet into today. With all
Rabbi Yeager's case of Shavuos night.
Same thing. It's you don't have the kol shekain in Rabbi Yeager's. Right, in Rabbi Yeager's case, you would not make Birchas Hatorah unless you want to rely on the Chai Adam and the. Okay, Sivkat Dalaman Koidem Or Hayom Va'afilu b'mashkem achar chatzos laila le'eza inyan. Let's say like this: you set your alarm for 1 a.m. Why? Because you wanted to check on something. You have some business overseas. You wanted to check something, so you got up at 2 a.m. and you can go back to sleep for another 4 hours. You can make all of these brachas again. You don't have to make them again when you get up in the morning. Again, Birchas HaTorah. I would say if somebody gets up in the middle of the night to do business, I'm not saying that's recommended, and they're not going to learn, they should not make Birchas HaTorah. Because if you make Birchas HaTorah, you're getting involved in a shiloh when you get up in the morning again. Now, you got Hamavarich, you got too much of Hamavarich Lo Hifsid to put yourself in that situation. If you're going to learn, you have no choice. You can't learn without Birchas HaTorah. But if you're not going to, you're getting up, I don't know what, you're getting up to see, the eclipse of the moon, that happens once every 57 years. So, you see it, I would have made Birchas HaTorah. Okay. Levad Birchas Elokai Neshama Yomer Bli Chasima, except Elokai Neshama you make without Hamachazir Neshamas of Garmesim. The Hamaver Sheno Yomer Bli Haskaras Hashem. Hamaver Sheno, you don't say Hashem's name. The Achar Kach Kishiyakam Abakah, then when you get up in the morning, Yomer Oisan Bahaskar Shem Umachas Karoi, then you can make those brachas with Shem Umachas properly, Va'ayin Beber Halacha. The Be'er Halacha says that if the first time you got up, you said Elokai Neshama Hamaver Shena properly, then the Pri Chadash holds that you make these two brachas again when you get up the second time. Says the Mishna Berura of Katan Lamed Aleph. So somebody gets up before daybreak, he can make all the brachos except for Hanoisein Lasach Vivina. Says the holy Mishna Berura Achronim Meskim Shagam Bracha Zu Yachal Avarech Afil Kaidem Shar Hayoim. The Achronim say not like the Mechaber, that even Hamaver Shena, even Asher Nasan Lasach Vivino you could make. Now, are you allowed to make Elokaina Shama and Hamaver Shena if you get up before dawn? Yeah. It's just if you're going back to sleep, you shouldn't make them. But Asher Nasan Lasach the Achronim argue on the Mechaber. Ach Yeshar Mishachil Yeshar Shalavarchas Kadam Shar Yom. Some say l'charchila you should be careful not to make the bracha before daybreak in lo shama kol tarnagal unless you hear the voice of the rooster. Over the Yeved Yatzafi lo shama kol tarnagal. V'davka sheberchos mechatzos laila ve'elach. Only if you make it from chatzos senan. Avol koydem chatzos afilu b'the Yeved Yachzav Yivarech v'afilu im shama kol tarnagal v'ayim beber halacha. So the Mechaber said you should wait to say Parshas HaTamid until daybreak. Here's where there could be a nafkamina. Somebody wants to get. Let's say somebody is not such an early riser, but let's say Yemei Slichos, he's getting up early, and he knows that he's not going to have time to say Karbanos with the Tzibur. They just go too fast. So he wants to say Parshas HaTamid before daybreak. No, you shouldn't do that. Not only that, V'chol Mishnayos HaKarbanos Shachrei, all the Mishnayos of Karbanos after that, Kiheim B'mkaim HaKravasan. The recitation is in place of bringing them. Be'ein HaKravasan al B'yoim. The Hakrava is only during the day. By the way, the Dirshu points out, going back to Siman Aleph, Sif Katan Yud Zayin, that someone who doesn't have time to say Karbanos B'yoim can say it already B'layla. This din, by certain brachos, you're now to say B'layla. Karbanos L'charchilo, you should say it B'yoim. B'diavad, you could say it B'layla. By the way, the Mishna Berura, I didn't remember this. The Parshas Hakiyar, Parshas Chumash Hadashin, you could say Koidem or Hayom. V'im ein loy pnai, yachal loymar gam Parshas Karbanos B'layla. Reb Chaim says it could be, even though you're allowed to say it, you don't have a din of Kilu Hikrivam. But there's still an inyan to say them. Lil Maidu Lavarech. If you don't have water, you wipe your hands, whatever could clean them. Yodalid Nashim Avarchas Birchas Hatorah. Women make Birchas Hatorah. Says the Mishna Berura Hatam Ayin Beber Halacha. See the Beber Halacha. Why should women make Birchas Hatorah? They're not mechuyev in Talmud Torah. Says the Mishna Berura Hatam Deha Chayavas Lumayd Hadinim Shalahem. Number one, they have to learn the halachas relevant to them. So they have to learn Arachayim, Yaradea, Even Ha'ezer, and Choshen Mishpat. They only have to do the chalakim that are relevant to them. For instance, those 4 chalakim of Shulchan Aruch. Void Chayavis Lomer Parshas HaKarbanos, Kamay Shechayavis B'Tfila. Women are mechuyev to say karbanos. Imkein Koi HaBracha Alzeh. The bracha is going on karbanos. Oh, according to this, I have a good eitzah. You're up all night, Shavuos night. You need someone to be moitzi you. Can a woman be moitzi a man in Birchas HaTorah? Says Rabbi Glatstein, Hatam, Yechoyla lahoitzi Birchas HaTorah Sa'ish, V'chein Kaza Prima Gadam Ehedya. But the Gra argues. The Gra says, no, that the reason why women make Birchas HaTorah is not because they're chayiv to learn their dinim. It's not because they have to say karbanos. The tam is the peti mikamang yichazavach levem tzivanu. They're always allowed to say a bracha on a mitzvah shehazman grama that they're pater on. Why are women pater from Torah? Because it's man grama. It's the zman of the yom and the zman of the laila. But women are allowed to say v'tzivanu. By the way, a big nafkamina, and according to that, they can't be moitzi a man. I'll tell you a very big nafkamina. Can a Svardi woman be moitzi a man in Birchas HaTorah? According to the first reason of the Mishna Berura, that women are chayiv in learning their dinim, and women are chayiv in karbanos, a Svardi could. According to the Gra, that the reason why women make Birchas HaTorah is because they're always allowed to say a bracha v'tzivanu, even though they're pater. Sfardim are not allowed to. A Sfardi woman may never say a bracha on a lulav, on an esrog, on sukkah, on shofar. The Rabbeinu Tam says she can't make the bracha. That's how the Sfardim paskin. And accordingly, they can't say Baruch Shamar, they can't say Yishtabach, they can't say a lot of brachos. So Sfardim would not be able to say meaning according to the second reason of the Bir Halacha, women would not be allowed to say Birchas Hatorah. You hear this? According to the Gra, Sfardim could not say Birchas Hatorah. Sfardi women. Rabbi, so we'll see you tomorrow. Simim Mem Ches. Bracha v'atzlacha. Have a good day.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.